and welcome to the Nobody Asked Me Guys show. Listen, we are excited that you're here. We know that there are other things you could be doing, but we know why you're here because you want to hear these exciting ladies express their views about motherhood. Allow us to offer a verbal bouquet of roses to all of our moms. You know, May is Mama's Month, so we are celebrating our mothers, and we're talking about a variety of topics that are near and dear to our heart. Now, the ladies will obviously do the explaining about all of this mother talk, and you guys feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Now, we do have one guest that's not with us right now. That's in the person of Dr. Princess A. Piggies. She's the international president of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church's women's missionary. She will be joining us momentarily. If she is able to do that, she's been a little bit under the weather, so we want to share that with you. Our other guests are very phenomenal women in the person of Miss Denise Gildon, who's a banker. She's a writer. She's she's involved in the community very heavily, and she'll tell you more about herself. And Dr. Caroyl Townsend is also with us. Dr. Townsend is CEO of CC. Dr. Townsend, I remember it was a CC Taylor Foundation, and she's also our educational of the Louisiana region. She's the director of Board of Education. So we will engage our guests, and we're happy that they're here. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And if you share just a little bit more about you and what you do before we actually start sharing questions, and feel free, either one of you can go first. We are. So who would like to go first?
Go ahead, Dr. Townsend.
I was about to defer to you, but thanks and good evening. I am Dr. Caroyl Townsend, and I am the director of the Board of Christian Education for the Louisiana region of the 4th Episcopal District of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. I am also the CEO of the C.C. Taylor Foundation, and I am a retired educator. Also active in the community. I am in North Louisiana, in a small town, Arcadia, Louisiana.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Townsend. Ms. Gildon, will you help give us a little bit more about you, please?
I'm Denise Gildon. I'm originally from Montana. I now live in Vivian, Louisiana. I'm the mother of 2 adult children. I have 2 grandsons. I'm a breast cancer survivor of almost 5 years, and I'm a retired banker of 40 years at the same place of employment. I'm a Sunday school teacher. I'm on the administrative board and finance boards of the Vivian United Methodist Church. I'm passionate about my ministries in life after my career, and I'm sorry. I've got
no problem.
I didn't want to do so here I am doing.
No problem. No problem.
I enjoy photography. I enjoy crafting. I enjoy writing, and I am working on my auto time.
Fantastic. Okay, guys. So you see what I mean, right? We have some very interesting guests, and when Dr. Piggies joins us, we're just going to make this thing further. Now, listen, ladies. Don't mind me, but I have to ask this question. Now, I know all of us have our definitions of what mothers are. Men, unfortunately, in particular, because, we think that we know everything. I mean, okay, I admit it. Most men think that we know everything, okay? However, we would like your definitions, if you will, if you would share with us. If you have a definition for mothers, would you please share that with us? I mean, I don't profess to know candid definitions about moms. I have one that I love dearly, but we'd like to hear from you. What would your definition be of a mother? Dr. Townsend. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Karen. Go ahead, Denise.
My definition of a mother would be one who loves her children unconditionally and will do almost anything for them. After I had my first child, it was about 4 years before I had another one, and I just didn't know that if I could love the second one as much as I did the first one. And then I realized that there's just more love there. And I was able to love them both more than I ever dreamed I could.
Dr. Townsend.
Well, let me preemptively say that I am not a biological mother, but I am a mother by nature of, I have nieces and nephews. And as you said earlier, I was an educator for 33 years. So I have umpteen number of children who I might call motherly in some way or another. But then I believe that a mother is someone who has a passion for not just loving children, but for taking care of them and their personal needs. Whether it's something that they need innately to take care of themselves, or whether it's something emotional, but you're passionate about taking care of them and providing that love and
Cheryl,
nurture.
thank you for joining us. Okay, ladies, thank you. Listen, let me bring our audience in a little more, give them a little more detail, because I did not share with them our topic for tonight, and that's challenges and celebrations of motherhood. And so we want to make sure that you understand what we are discussing and why we're discussing this. That's to our audience. However, we want to ask our moms, if you will, if you would share with us just one. I know there are many. One of your happiest moments of working with your son, daughter, or as many of us are surrogate parents, and one of your scariest moments. Dr. Townsend.
Well, one of my happiest moments in working with a child is I have an 11-year-old niece, and she's the baby of the family. So one of my happiest moments has been helping her to understand the dynamics of the family and learning to love and be a part of our family. She's a very passionate and loving child. So helping her to just learn and become a part of the family, learn the dynamics and the rules of the family per se. When I say rules of the family, we grew up loving, there's no bickering between the family members and the siblings. Love thy neighbor. Don't go to bed angry. Those kind of things are my happiest moments in helping her to learn how to develop those in the most recent years. And I guess one of my moments that I have to say, most disappointing moments and sad moments, I would say, in dealing with motherhood, I guess, not regretful. Say the good Lord knows whom he desires to have biological children and who doesn't. But I would say one of my saddest moments is that I don't have one of my own that calls me mother, although those nieces and nephews that I referred to do include me as mother. They see me as their surrogate mother, as they have their own mothers.
I certainly can't speak to that. However, I would like us to move to number 3. What are some of the unspoken challenges of motherhood? Now, I know that's a loaded question, and please allow me to extrapolate a little further. I know that is loaded to ask a person or persons, about unspoken challenges of motherhood. However, we know that there are so many discussions going on, and we started off by asking for you to share with us, in your opinion, what do you think a mother is? So with that, will you share with us some challenges of motherhood that we can all swallow, if that makes sense?
Balancing a career with raising a family is definitely a challenge.
Okay.
Also, raising a family alone after a divorce is very challenging, especially when child support checks are few and far between and finally non-existent. And so those are 2 challenges that just came to mind immediately for me.
Okay. Ms. Townsend, will you share with us?
Yes. Yes, I think one of the challenges I do refer to being able to balance schedules and responsibilities. I was talking with a young mother this morning, trying to discuss, we were discussing planning activities for children, for her child, and for someone that I'll have this summer as a surrogate mother. And her challenge was, how am I going to get him where he needs to be and get myself to work on time now that there's no school? What are the good activities that we can have for him that are fruitful and productive activities? So I think not only in balancing that schedule, it's also trying to determine the best ways of life for them, the best programs, educational programs, the best social programs that will enhance their lives in many ways.
Okay. You know, I would like to ask this question, and please answer it in as much detail as you would like. There's so many conversations out there relative to mothers rearing sons. There are a great number of books that are out there with talk about mothers and daughters, and you find pamphlets on mothers and their sons, and sometimes men can be so disingenuous and unfair, quite honestly, talking about how women can't raise sons and they need men, etc. So with that stated, I mean, there appears to also to be a general consensus that generally that women cannot raise sons without a male presence. Now, would you agree or disagree? And obviously, we want you to expound on that, because I know you can't just say yes or no, because I know that's a loaded question. So we'd like you to expound on that, please. Anyone can go first. Take a stab at it.
I can't answer that question yes or no, but I can say that I believe that God intended for families to have a mother and a father, and that those two together would raise the family. But we know that this isn't a perfect world, and so many times there are single parent homes. And I believe that all children, even those in a single parent home, need a father figure. A father can instill self-esteem in his daughter and can provide a role model for a son. But then I would ask you this question: are there sons who have been raised by a single mother who have been successful in their lives? And I'll that question.
Well, listen, hey, I would love to answer that question because I am one.
Well,
I am one, and
my son is one.
Okay. And please continue.
So can sons become successful without having a father in their life? Absolutely. My son is an example of that. Minister Lars is an example. My son had grandfathers, he had uncles, he had other male role models from the church and friends who provided the role modeling that he needed. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Dr. Townsend?
Well, I think that sums it up really well, because, and it kind of ties really into this, when we're saying that women can be mothers without giving biological birth. So therefore, men can be fathers without having to be biological fathers and without living in the house. Because as we have referenced here this evening, men can be uncles, men can be ministers, men can be other role models that have the same values. And I think that's what's important when we're talking about mothers or fathers. It's those values and role models that we are surrounded with, or that we surround our children with in our lives. So can women raise, a single woman raise a man that can be a good man? The answer to me is a resounding definitely yes.
Okay.
Those principles, and the principles of whether they're family principles or whether they are principles of mom or grandmom or aunt or whoever they are, the principles are the same. We just have to surround them and introduce them, those young men, to the proper role models and experiences in their lives.
We ladies, with that, let me throw this at you. Where do you feel then is the disconnect? Because everywhere you look, media, social media, etc., when there are disparities or young men going wayward, if I can use that word, quickly the one of the first things people want to say is single parent homes. There's no dad in the home, etc. So from what the two of you have shared with us, that you feel very strongly and unequivocally that mothers can most definitely rear sons. Where would you say is the disconnect with the world saying the total opposite when it comes to boys/men doing things that they should not be doing? That they and I won't keep talking about it. I'll just leave it there and hopefully you guys can share an answer with us.
Dr. Townsend.
Did you see me kind of drop my head on that when I was leaving that open? But because I really don't know. I really cannot respond to that because I don't know where that thought, that school of thought, originated. I don't know where it, other than in media now and in the public's eye outside of the communities. Because I would say in the communities in which I've lived, that's not an excuse for lack of any kind of positive development. Not having, because in our communities and in our culture, a lot of times our young men, I'll have to go on and say, our young men in the African American communities, a lot of times do come from homes, single parent homes, and we are not 100% failures. So then there you go in saying that's not really it. And just because someone has a life that is not or chooses, which I believe those are choices that are made, I do not think that referring to a single parent home or not having a father can be used as an excuse for poor decision making.
Okay.
Because again, those role models are available.
Okay.
The pictures that we see on TV and in our books are a mother and a father and a happy little family with a little boy and a little girl. But in real life, that's not always the way it is. Although I think God intended it to be that way.
Okay. And I want to ask that question because of the conversation that we're having, and there are so many differences of opinion out here in the world that dictates and that indicates that the reason there's so much crime and all of these things and disrespect for women, etc., it is because mothers are doing a horrible job. Now that I don't agree with that, but that is the impetus and that is the cloud, if I can use that is the cloud that I have seen as a violence interventionist that people try to use all of the time when you're doing workshops, when you are working with parents, both male and female. Immediately the conversation starts to morph into the fact that boys don't have role models. There's no dad in the house. There's so many single parents, and on and on and on. And no one wants to address the issue of the facts that there are many underlying causes as to why we have what we have. So, since you ladies were so adamant initially, I just thought I'd kind of throw that one in there. So I didn't want to throw you a curve, but I just kind of thought I'd throw that one in there. Listen, let me ask you now, generally speaking, and this is a perfect segue. Generally speaking, would you say that an overwhelming majority of best parenting practices are done by mothers as opposed to fathers?
My experience was growing up in a farming community in Montana and with a Norwegian background. And it was in the 1960s or 1950s, mid to late 1950s. I'm going to tell my age here in a minute.
That's okay. Somebody had to be born first.
Mothers took care of all the parenting in our families, because the father was generally out in the fields working with the cows or doing whatever he was doing outside, making the living from sun up to sundown. And so mother always took care of the parenting. And I remember one time we had cattle, and calves would be birthed, and sometimes the mama cows needed help. And so if my dad was not going to be there on that particular day, and he suspected that a cow would need help, well, my mother would take care of it. And so one day she said, "Can I bring the girls down with me while you're helping this mama cow give birth?" And my dad said, "Oh no, that is not a woman's job to see."
Good.
So my mother was horrified, and of course she didn't argue with him. But the next time there was that situation presented itself and my dad was gone, we three girls were down in the barnyard watching a calf being born. You know, what a perfect lesson. So,
Okay.
and I think that the times have changed. I mean, I know that the times have changed very much, and in families today, I think parenting is shared more than it used to be in the past.
Mhm. Okay, Dr. Townsend.
Yeah, I too, well, I won't say I too because I wasn't in the 50s, but I did come along somewhere in the
That's
60s
okay.
and grew up in the 60s, in the early 60s. But you know, and I did have a 2-parent home, and I would say that mom, God rest her soul, and dad, God rest his soul, were,
Condolences.
yes, thank you. But I do think that mom was more of the caregiver, and mom was the one who provided. Let's say mom was just the more vocal one, and it was mom's rules. You know the rule, mom rules the house. But I do know that mom and dad talked and discussed and made decisions together. Mom was just the voice that carried out what she and dad both agreed with. And in that same vein, when you're talking about your dad said, "No, that's not for girls." Actually, I have 3 sisters. There were three girls and 1 boy, and all of the girls knew how to cook, clean, and do whatever the traditional woman roles, female roles were. But at the same time, there were things, we didn't do everything outside of the house that were traditional guy things, but we knew a lot of those things. By the same token, my brother knew how to cook, clean, and survive to take care of himself if he chose to do so as an adult. So then I say, yes, sometimes, you know, there's that divide, but I think we are made whole when we understand both roles of the traditional roles. I remember my dad used to say, "Come here, let me show you these things to do." They were the manly things that he did around the house so that you'll know how to do them when I'm gone. Well, Dad's been gone 18 years, and I tell you, I'm sorry. I just have to say every day, "Dad, I'm sorry. I don't remember most of that stuff that you supposed to do while you're gone." But I do think, you know, sometimes there is that divide. I do think also parents, I know for sure parents talk about it, but sometimes one parent is just there to be that voice of the family.
Wow. Well, hey, ladies,
that's okay.
Look, those are beautiful answers. I'm going to throw you another curve. So then why would you say that men get a pass when it comes to actually being there to rear the children? I mean, I've heard your explanations. I agree with everything you're saying, not that you need me to. However, I find, and I'll be very blunt, I find again in the workshops and working with people and working with parents and talking about violence and education and all of that kind of thing, is that men get a pass when it comes to the actual, and I mean the nurturing, the talking to boys about life, about things other than, maybe that's what the words I'm looking for, talking about boys about things other than sports, girls, and having an occasional beer. So why do you think men get a pass from doing the actual nurturing of the children?
Well, Could it be, especially men raised without a father figure in their family,
That could be possible.
that they don't have a role model from which to emulate? They don't know what to do.
That could be very possible. That could be very possible. Dr. Townsend.
Well, while we're proposing questions, sometimes we just afraid to move from tradition, and we just are stagnant in those traditional roles, and we are afraid to move from tradition.
Okay.
Could it be?
Okay. Listen, perfect segue into number 7. Now, athletes have become revered for saying hi, mom, rarely acknowledging their fathers. Now, in your opinions, ladies, do you think that mothers have earned that special recognition?
Of course, I think they have.
Now, you're going to have to ask dads to stand up for themselves, because I'm definitely going to say, of course. Yes, I think, of course.
And you feel that way because
moms are generally seen as the softer parent, the one the child goes to for tenderness and affection. And I'm getting maybe just a tad off the subject, but I did.
No, you're not. Go right ahead.
That my son, whom I raised mostly by myself, became a single parent himself, raising his son when circumstances arose that the mother was no longer around. And he did a great job. And in that case, had my grandson been an athlete and on TV, he would have definitely said, "Hey, Dad," because he wasn't a mother figure.
Okay. Dr. Townsend?
Well, I'm thinking that when we're talking about mothers and their responsibilities and the things they do, we say moms wear so many hats in the family. When a child is involved in sports, generally, dad has a role or is employed and is not available, but mom is taking them to the games. Mom is taking them to practice. Mom is there as a cheerleader. Mom is encouraging, even when sometimes mom is the one that says you need to go out and get involved in a sport. Mom might have even chosen that sport for that child to participate. Sometimes in our communities now, I see on social media, and I hear persons say someone is their ride or die. Mm-hmm. It took me a while to understand that, but then when we think about it, mom is really the ride or die. So that child is really saying, Mom, thanks for being my ride or die. Dad, you were there, yes, and I appreciate you. You were over there, but Mom, you were my ride and die. And thanks to you and all of your motivation that you helped me, this is where I am. So I think that's why a lot of times, and then too, when we talk about moms, it's just that special feeling that we have, that special passion that we have for mom, that we always want to recognize mom, because we go back to that biological birth or that nurturing that mom has done from birth for us. Okay,
ladies, you are bringing the pain. Listen, I'm having a ball. I'm having a ball because you ladies are bringing the pain. I want to take you right on to the next question then. Now, how instrumental do you feel that your influence on your son or daughter was when he or she chose or chooses a mate? How instrumental do you feel that the influence that you've had on said son, said daughter, and again, for our audience's sake, for those that are joining in late, we understand full well that there are many surrogate parents out there. So we are not eliminating those parents, and these questions are not just geared to persons that may be maternal in the parenting genre, if you will. So this question is for all of our parents. All right. So ladies, I just wanted to make sure some of our audience who joined in late would know that. So ladies, talk to me.
That's a difficult one for me, because I would like to think that I had an influence on the mates, but I'm not sure that I did.
Okay.
I made mistakes in choices that I made, at different times, especially in choices I made for a mate. But I am happy to say that both of my children are in successful and happy marriages. So it all
Great. Fantastic. Dr. Townsend.
Well, I'm just going to bow out of this one and say that influence on the choices of mates of my nieces and nephews with whom I do have a mothering relationship. We're just asked to come together as a family and say, hey, make sure you're making wise choices. Look at the character. Look at this person's life. Is this someone that you choose to spend your life with? If yes, you go for it. We'll support you.
You know what, Dr. Townsend? You brought about another curve, because as I listened to you and as I listened to Mrs. Gildon, I want to throw another curve in here, because I know this is not one of the questions that we were originally going to talk about. What you ladies have just shared with us is very real, and it's very real in life. However, when we try to express those things to our children about making the choices and being happy and choosing those individuals, and as Ms. Gildon has said, she's very happy that her children have 2 successful marriages, etc. How is there a way? Maybe that's the question I'm searching for, to balance their choice as opposed to them settling. That's a difference. Did I settle to say that I'm married, or was my choice a good one or not a good one? Now, I know you can't answer for your children, but I'm just saying, as parents, as some of us, myself included, being a surrogate parent, how do we balance that in our heads? Is his or her choice really a good choice, or in my opinion, do I feel that they're settling? Now, I'm not talking about maybe your own individual children or surrogate children, but just situations that you've seen occur as a mom. We don't want to put anybody on the spot. We're just talking about generically.
I'll just jump in here. I'll jump in here and say that in not only in relationships and choosing spouses, I just do not support settling for anything.
Okay.
We set goals and we shoot for the stars, as they say, or whatever we're shooting for, the highest that we can shoot for. To me, that's like giving up, or
okay,
principles copping out on belief. So no, we don't settle for any.
Okay. Your camera was kind of freezing, so we did hear part of your answer. But do you mind repeating that? No, it's not you. It's get vocal.
Well, I was actually just saying that I don't condone settling, whether for anything.
Okay.
We just strive to reach that goal. If we have principles, then we stick with those principles. Sometimes we might have to compromise, but compromising and settling are 2 totally different entities. So if we're in a relationship, then you know the kind of person that you think or you believe, because nothing is guaranteed. So we know the kind of person that we think is the person that would be the perfect one. So why settle for something less than perfect? I mean, we'll go back and talking about mothers. So we as mothers go out, we're going to buy the perfect things for our children. We have the perfect things ideals set for them. We're not settling for anything less than perfect. In our eyes. So then I don't condone settling for anything, whether it's a mate or whomever. We just don't settle. It's out there. We're patient, and that's the key, is being patient.
Okay, Ms. Gildon, would you like to wade in those waters?
I'm scary. Without divulging any personal information,
right?
I just think that, well, one thing that I learned as a mother, when your child is dating in preparation for potential marriage, because every date could be a potential spouse.
True.
I learned that it was best to just shut up and
Yep.
a natural death if it was not meant to be, because if I was adamant about that is not the right person for you, or brought out all their bad characteristics or whatever, well, my child was sure to fall in love with him even deeper.
I think that's the rule. That's the kid's rule.
Yeah, I feel you.
So keeping quiet and doing a lot of praying was probably key.
Well, you know what? Since you ladies made me throw a curve in there, you brought me and segued me right to the next question. Now, in your opinion, and I know we don't think of women as being part of this chivalry piece, but they are. In your opinion, is the lack of chivalry and respect a deal breaker when it comes to approval of a mate for your daughter, but also approval of a date for your son? I know both of you have really kind of touched upon that already. So I'd like to know, would you consider it a deal breaker if that character is not there, if they are somewhat, be very frank, disrespectful, they don't carry themselves well, etc.? Would you consider that a deal breaker?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow, that was short and quick. But I appreciate no. I appreciate your honesty. So if you like to expound, please do so.
I just think that, respect, we all know that respect is so very important. And sometimes I can't help but wonder if chivalry is dead. I know it's not in all cases, but sometimes it's easy to think that it might be.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. And I'll make this comment. I mentioned that I was an educator of 33 years. And in my latter years, let me say this, over the 33-year span, I found a difference in the levels of respect that children had for teachers, and it diminished greatly. So in my last years, each morning when we came to school, I don't know if you remember that song, what it says, does it say RESPECT?
Yes,
we'll find out.
Franklin.
Every morning, that became my class theme song, because I did want the children to understand that the respect that you develop here in this setting at this age level does spill over. It does carry over to your life outside of school. It carries over to your mother. It carries over to your father. It carries over to your sister. It just carries over to every aspect of your life. Yeah. And as a 10-year-old, I was teaching 5th graders. As a 10-year-old, someone will remember your level of respect or lack thereof 10 years down the road. So yes, again, lack of chivalry, lack of respect is a definitely deal breaker. And when I said no, we let people make their own decisions, then that is probably a point. No, let me take that back. That is not probably. That is definitely a point at which I would step in and say, hey, now there's a respect for yourself, because respect for oneself is very important as well. And I think that's how we permit disrespect, when we have kind of a lack of respect for ourselves.
Okay, ladies. Also, if you can see on the left side of your page here, JRT is saying exactly, you teach them to care about those things and teach them chivalry is important. You hope they will own it. And ladies, I'm right there with you. I mean, not that you need me to be, but I'm right there with you. Now, listen, this is probably one of the toughest questions that I ask, because I have to ask myself that a lot of times. What is the one thing that you would prefer your son, daughter, do differently than you did at the same age he or she may be at this time? And again, for our audience, I see some people joining in late. We're talking surrogate parenting. If you're parenting a niece, nephew, neighbor, friend, former student, etc. So even if you're not, quote, the maternal parent, you are still a parent. So again, this question is asking, what is the one thing that you would prefer your son/daughter do differently than you did at the same age as he or she is today? Is there one thing?
I had to think about that long and hard, and there were too many things, so I opted to not write them all down. But I would like to say that my kids aren't perfect, but truly, the more I thought about it, I really believe that they are doing life better at their age, at the age they are now,
right,
compared to me. I really do believe that, and I'm very proud of them. So maybe being a single mother wasn't so bad after all.
Okay, that's great. Dr. Townsend?
I'm thinking sometimes we weren't really careful about, and we're saying, I wish I hadn't, or if I could go back now. So just be a little bit more careful when you're thinking about, because your life choices are really life choices. So if I had to say one thing, or just to think them out a little bit more, pray more about them, seek guidance. And I do talk a lot about family, but sometimes family can be closed. And sometimes I would say you might have to seek outside of your family, someone who has those same principles and guidelines. They may get the same thing, but at least you'll see that the real world might be the same. So again, just be a little more careful and a little more prayerful in the decision making, but live life to the fullest and be happy.
Okay, ladies, that brings us to the end of the questions that we have pinpointed. Now, are there any questions or any other discussion relative to parenting and our children that you may like to pose before we close?
I would say that being a mother isn't always easy, but there are great rewards. I also believe that we as moms do the very best we can with what we have. We learn from our mistakes, hopefully. And I'm thankful for a mother who loved her children, who praised her children when they did right, who disciplined her children when they did wrong, who taught us to have a good work ethic. And I'm also thankful that she was a praying mom, and she continued to pray for my children and her other grandchildren, because where would we be if it were not for the prayers of a godly mother or grandmother?
I shudder to think. I shudder to think.
Absolutely. And I try to be the praying grandmother now for not only my grandchildren, but for future generations. I think that's very important.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Dr. Townsend?
And I agree with everything that Ms. Gildon has said. And I do say, too, that term mother, as we have talked about in this conversation today, it's not just a biological birth mother. It can be a mother, it can be an aunt, mother can be a grandmother, mother can sometimes even be a sibling, an older sibling, or sometimes younger siblings. But I think the takeaway that I would like to give at the end of this conversation is this: one of the last things that my mother said to me, and this is my advice to all mothers or fathers or whomever, but since we're talking about mothers today and mothers to be, she said this. Mom was 85, and this is what she said to me. She said, I have lived the best life that I can, and the best life that I knew how. And I pray that the good Lord takes me home. So my thing is, the way your mother believes, one mother believes is the right way, might not necessarily believe another mother believes is the right way. But if we pray and seek guidance from God, then I think we will all be the best mothers that we can be. And our children will learn that from us, because they will see that role model, whether there's a father in the home, if it's a single, or if it's a multi-family home, they will have that motherly role model for them, that godly motherly role model for them, as to take them through life. Because, you know, one thing that we know is those things that the Bible says, train a child in the way that he should go. And if we train those children when they were little with that prayer, with the lives that they should lead, then they might stray, but somewhere deep in their heart and in their minds, they're going to come back, whether it's physically, spiritually, at some time in their lives, because they did have that best role model from mom or for the mother that they could.
Wow. You know, ladies, I appreciate that. Ms. Gildon, go right ahead, dear. You want to share something else?
No, I just said, well said.
And I think that as well, because, you know, unfortunately, moms get a bad rap. And you said a mouthful when you said your mom said the best she knew how. And I don't think that we covered that enough. So, ladies, it's been great. But listen, I want to invite you back on June 14th. My guest will be none other than Dr. Caroyl Alvey. Dr. Alvey is said to be one of the world's renowned parenting experts. He will be our guest. Wow. He will be our guest on June 14th, 7:00 p.m. right here on Get Vocal. And Dr. Alvey, when you get an opportunity, if you look him up, you'll see he was very prominent during the President Bill Clinton administration. Matter of fact, I have a picture up there with him and President Bill Clinton, and he still works right now with parenting. He even quantifies parenting, that he talks about Black parenting and brown parenting and all that kind of stuff. So if you kind of mark your calendars and come back with us on the 14th of June of this year, we're going to have Dr. Caroyl Alvey from the Parenting Institute, and he is one of the world-renowned, thought to be and said to be one of the world-renowned parenting experts that we have available. But ladies, listen, I want to thank Mrs. Denise Gildon and Dr. Caroyl Townsend for joining us tonight. We want to thank all of our Get Vocal friends and all of our many listeners that are on YouTube and that are on Facebook and our other mediums. Listen, it's been great. We want you guys to join us. Send in your thoughts, your comments, your compliments, and your criticisms. So you can do that. You can check my website out at www.dyingonmyfeet.com, www.dyingonmyfeet.com, and you can send those comments and compliments and all the things that you feel you need to say. Send those to my email at abrighterfuture91@gmail.com, abrighterfuture91@gmail.com. If you really feel the need that you want to talk to me personally, not a problem. 440-935-0374, 440-935-0374. So listen, guys, we're very happy that you're here. We're very happy that you decided to join the Nobody Asked Me guy. We also want to, Dr. Townsend has she's CEO of her company. Dr. Townsend, if you'd like to share your contact information, please do so at this time.
Yes, thank you. My phone number is 318-278-0904. My email is Caroyl, CAROYL .Townsend, TOWNSEND @CC Taylor Foundation, FOUNDATION.org. The CC Taylor Foundation, the CC Taylor Foundation is about scholarship and scholarships for students who are high school students graduating, but also we have a theological piece where we do award some support to seminarians. So contact me for further information, and we can talk about it and discuss it, and I will connect you further with our board of trustees.
Great. Ms. Denise Gildon, I know that you're retired, but as you shared with us earlier, you do so many things. If someone would like to contact you, would you like to share some contact information?
Certainly. I am on social media, Facebook, Denise Gildon. I'm on Instagram, Gildon1122. And my email is gildon1122@yahoo.com.
Okay, ladies, thank you very much. And again, allow me to apologize for Dr. Princess Piggies. Dr. Piggies had already shared with me that she had been ill, and she was going to do her best to try to join us tonight, but we will have Dr. Piggies at a later date. So guys, thank you so very much for being a part of the Nobody Asked Me guy. And listen, last thing I'll say is, as we talk about mothers, you need to go to that website and get your book, Mothers and Their Smen, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons. There's nothing on the market like it. I smile about it all the time when people start writing me reviews and saying, man, somebody should have done this a long time ago. I'm just very happy that I did it. And my mother, I talk about my mom a little bit in there. She's very near and dear, and thank God she's still with us. So those of you that still have your mothers, again, we just want to share with you that you have our condolences. We understand full well that words will never replace or anything of that nature. However, I would venture to think that it does not hurt any of us to share our condolences, and because no one can say to you, I understand how you feel, if they still have their mom. So, and I'm blessed to still have mine, so I would not dare insult you by saying I know how you feel, because I do not. But we again want to offer you and all of our mothers a bouquet of love roses, because May is Mother's Month. Every day is Mother's Day, and we know that we have a designated day. However, every day is Mother's Day. So with that, guys, have a great, great, great night. And we do enjoy talking with you and being live right here with you. And we also want to invite those of you that might be interested in being guests on the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. Go to that website, go to that email, and we'll see if we can make it happen. So we bid you adieu, and we wish everyone a blessed and great night.
Good night.
Good night. And thank you for having me.